Hi everyone, I am Vanchika Channa, an intern at Anon and one of your hosts for the evening. I welcome you all to this thought provoking panel discussion on the topic Preparing Students for 2047. What must change in schools today?
And I am Swanjil Seth, the co-host and an intern at Anon. Thank you all for being here. Today we are looking 20 plus years ahead to 2047 and asking a hard question. Is the school system we have today built for the world our students will actually live in?
We have educators with us who work with students every single day. So we want this to feel like a real conversation, not a lecture. Let me introduce our esteemed panelists for today, Miss Priyanka Sharma, Miss Bini Devan, Miss Bhavna Arora, and Miss Shweta Gairiola. They will be sharing their valuable insights and suggestions. But Swangel, why 2047?
Because a child starting school today will be in the prime of their career in 2047. As Alvin Tolfer once said, the illiterate of 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. The question isn't what students should know for tomorrow's exam, it's what they'll need for the world we can't fully picture yet.
And that starts with the tools already sitting in every classroom technology.
Before we dive in, let me tell you about a fun round we will do. Just one word to describe yourself, and then you have to explain why. So, teachers, keep thinking till we reach that section.
So, without further delay, we are absolutely honored to kick off this event with someone whose presence brings both wisdom and warmth, Miss Shami Pruthi ma'am, a guide, a mentor, and a pillar of support for Anand Global Foundation.
Okay, thank you very much. A very warm welcome to all our lovely participants of EduEdge panel discussion today. And EduEdge is a forum with a vision to elevate education. And how we do that? Because we all know education is changing fast. And so, as educators, we must to keep learning, keep learning. And so, EduEdge provides you that platform. So, welcome. And today's topic, as Vanchika was saying, is very beautiful, talking about 2047, that being the centenary of our independence. So the important question, we believe, is not whether India will be developed by then or not. The real question is, will our schools have developed the kind of human beings who will lead that Bharat, that India at that time? Because nations are not built in parliament, they are built in the classroom. So every lesson that we teach, every experience that we bring in would be a lesson for 2047. Are we ready for it? So good luck. And I'm so hoping to have such a beautiful conversation, and welcome again.
So, it's time to get to the fun part. Miss Benny, you are up first.
Bini ma'am, I request you to describe or introduce yourself in just one single word and then explain why you chose that word for yourself.
Passionate. Actually, whenever I do my work, my passion goes with it, and I always do with my whole heart, and very passionately I uh, mix up myself in the class with the kids.
That's great, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Miss Priyanka.
Creative Priyanka, I would call myself that way because I love creating things. I love imagination. I love innovation. And I want to present. Since I'm born in June, my number is 6. I love to present everything prim and proper. So P stands first in my life. Okay, prim, proper, perfection, Priyanka.
That's really amazing. Now it's Miss Shweta's turn.
Thank you. I'll call myself Swift Shweta Gerola. I'm Swift, I'm really very active and not only an educator but a motivational educator, motivating my students, and I'm really passionate about empowering my students about through meaningful learning and most important positive thinking. So I'm more into that's why I'm Swift Shweta. Thank you.
That's great. Let's call upon our first educator, Miss Vinny Devan from Hari Vidya Bhavan School. So, ma'am, beyond syllabus, what's something a school actually gives a child that they cannot get anywhere else?
According to me, school doesn't just teach the subjects, it shapes the character for the students because it was the first place where the children learn teamwork, resilience, leadership, and how to respect the difference between the information and how to respect when they are moving into the society and with the diverse people, how they can cope up with them.
I agree, ma'am. Where do you personally draw the line between technology helping a classroom and technology replacing something essential in it?
Uh, I think technology should enhance learning for the students, not to replace the human connection. Because AI can explain the concepts, personalize the lessons, but it also save teachers time, but it cannot replace the teachers' encouragement. Because when we are teaching the students, we cannot only explain the lessons, we encourage them with the real life experiences.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
do you
are we at risk of raising a generation of students who are fluent with devices but less fluent with people?
Yes, because if we don't help them intentionally or by guiding them to develop social and emotional skills, so yes, students are basically involved. Uh, 90%, 90 to 94% are involved in the technology. So if we cannot communicate with them regularly, so they will struggle in listening or with the collaboration, and they have conflicts to do the face-to-face conversation because generally they are not communicating with the people. They are just engaging in the technology.
Well said, ma'am. If you had to protect one part of the school from ever becoming digital, what would it be and why?
Uh, I want to protect meaningful human interaction because class discussions are important. Sometimes we thought ki we are teaching the students, but actually sometimes students have experienced something in the society and they share their own original experiences, so they learn many new things. And we also came to know about many of their things and we can understand them clearly. So I want to protect that thing.
That's such an important balance to strike. Technology as a tool, not a substitute for connection. Now let's turn to subject on everyone's mind lately, AI. But let's talk about it as a shift in thinking, not just as a shift in tools. Let's call upon Miss Shweta.
Um, Ma'am, AI is already inside the classroom, whether we planned for it or not. What's it actually doing to teach and learn right now? Like not 5 years from now, but today.
See, today AI has become a learning assistant, I would say. It not only helping the students, but see, it's even saving our time also, teachers' time also, giving students instant support also. But the real challenge, even as an educator also, is that we should ensure our students think for themselves instead of completely depending on AI. Means the smart use of AI.
Um, if AI can now answer, summarize, and even write for students, what should schools be teaching instead? Thinking, judgment, and curiosity?
Okay, school, must say that it must focus on that AI. See, this is something that AI cannot replace. Curiosity of the student, critical thinking, creativity, even ethics and empathy. But the future belongs to those who know how to ask the right question from AI, ChatGPT, or anything, not just finding the answers. We need to know the proper usage of this thing.
Well said, ma'am. How are you handling AI and academic honestly in your classroom?
See, I encourage, it's not that I don't encourage, I encourage students to use AI, but as a guide, okay, not as a shortcut. No problem. We all know today that students are doing homework from Chat GPT and all that. So I just ask them to explain their thinking, take an idea, take inputs from there, no problem, but explain their perspective, their thinking, reflect on their work, discuss ideas in the class, making learning more authentic than simply submitting that AI generated work. They can means add on their thing also, and of course from AI also.
By 2047, do you think AI will have changed what we teach and mostly how we teach it?
Not change, but I believe that AI will transform both of us, even the students and the educators also. uh, in a bigger difference, bigger change will be that how we are teaching, what are the changes in us, means change in the perspective of our teaching, understanding of the students. Knowledge will always matter, but development, adaptable, responsible, and lifelong learners, that will become our great priority. That's my vision, I believe will happen.
That reframes everything, doesn't it? But none of this deeper thinking, better assessment, meaningful use of AI is possible if a student can't sit with a single idea for more than a few minutes. Let's call upon Priyanka ma'am from St. Thomas School. Um, Ma'am, be honest, has students' attention span actually changed in your years of teaching, or are we just noticing it more?
See, attention has been a great cause of non-performing. Fine. Since the time immemorial, students have been less attentive when the teaching is boring. Fine. If the class is interesting and you, as an educator, are able to gather their attention, they won't be deviating from learning. Okay. But yes, in the gradual process, I have seen students' attention is declining. Okay. And sometimes it is less than 20 seconds, even. Okay, their mind drifts from here to there while even they are present in the class, but actually their mind is not present there. So there comes the role of an educator, how interesting the educator is going to make his or her class. And being the language teacher, we have full liberty to make the class interesting, interactive. Okay, if we keep on pointing out children in between asking the question, suppose if I take the example of teaching the last lesson, the very first lesson in class 12, that talks about the procrastination. You, as students, you might have also read this chapter. Okay, so I always ask them why the first lesson is named as the last lesson, because children had been in the past are were the same, they have been, and they are same. Keep procrastinating things. Fine. So their attention span truly it has changed, and because of instant information they are getting. Okay, so they want everything in quick. Earlier, when I used to teach the same chapter to my students, so making them like understand about France, I took time. But now I need to find out quick and easy tricks to talk about France, to talk about M. Hemmel, yeah, just to gather their attention. So you are right, absolutely right. Honestly, I'm telling you, this attention span has changed.
I
Although
agree,
it
ma'am.
was a cause of worry for the previous teachers, also, it will be a cause of worry for the next generation also.
I agree, ma'am. What do you think is really driving it? Is it only the screens, or is it also how packed and fast paced the school day itself becomes for a child?
See, this generation needs everything instantly. Instant noodles, instant coffee, instant orders, right? So they need instant information. Fine. And they think that the teacher should also teach them in a nutshell, so that like they jump to the conclusion. Why they don't want to study long chapters. They want that the teachers should deliver them a one appropriate lesson, the message, the core theme, the basic behind something. And again, I would say that being a language teacher, I need to have a synopsis, okay? And then present them the mind mapping thing, flow charts, all these things to gather their that crave for instant things. So we as an educator, we need to change according to the demand, according to the need of the hour. We need to be instant. Okay, if we don't accept the change, we won't be able to have their attention. So we can't only blame this screen and all. Screens will be there. You can't hold them back. But we can motivate them to watch certain things which are actually knowledgeable, which are actually enhancing their skills. I always tell that I too spend my time in like scrolling reels, but I always watch those things which is adding to my knowledge. So I motivate them to watch certain things. So this is how an educator should work.
I agree with it, but have you seen or changed how you teach a lesson because of this, and what worked?
Of course, of course. It has been almost 28 years I have been teaching. Okay. Earlier, when there were no smart classes, we had chalkboards only. Fine. So then now smart classes are there. Our teaching methodology is also changed. Fine. Our way of delivery is also changed. And every time we cannot use the age old methods. And because of screening, now what is happening? I'm telling you that things are really changing. Fine. You need to adapt this change. Okay. And like while you are teaching, already these students are stuffed with all these information. Fine. Science, they will watch something. Maths, they will watch again something. Social science, again teacher is dealing with the smart class. So there has to be some way, like in if every time they are watching screen, so they are maybe like full of information. That should not be there. As a language teacher, I need to develop their interest towards some book knowledge also, towards their interaction also, where they can speak their mind, where they are interacting, they are presenting their ideas without that screen. Although PPTs are okay, but sometimes blackboard work, your interaction, your book work, and here comes a silent reading. Okay, leave your chapter at a point where their curiosity is aroused. Okay, and ask them to read silently. This is what I do. At the very turning point or at the very twisting stage, I stop teaching the chapter. I ask them to read silently and then let me know what had happened. And I never ask my student to read the chapter from home. So, like demand or echo, we need to, as an educator, we need to change according to our learners. Every batch has a new faces, fine, and every batch needs new techniques. Your age old techniques would never work, and sometimes screen also would never work.
That's such a great technique, ma'am. What's one thing outside of the classroom, at home, in routine, in rest, that you wish would change to help students focus better?
Okay. Like if I say, while if they want to improve upon their public speaking thing, because many of them they are very good at writing, but when it comes to stage, they fear. They don't express in front of their classmates even. Okay, they would talk and chit chat. Okay, but they wouldn't be speaking publicly. So I tell them that they should practice in front of the mirror. They write something and stand in front of the mirror and speak. Intonation, okay, and their pronunciation. So this technique helps. Not only doom scrolling, the mobile phone never would help them, but this will definitely help. Like standing in front of the mirror and talk to yourself. Read, take the paper and read, and then you see how you are reading, how you are presenting yourself. That will definitely make a change in the personality, and you will never face any problem. This is an age old technique, but it works. It works.
What a rich set of conversations. Before we close, I'd like to leave everyone with this thought. We are currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist in order to solve problems we don't even know are problems yet. Technology will keep changing between now and 2047, but connection, curiosity, and character won't go out of date.
Indeed, Swanjal. Before we wrap up, let's have another round. The panelists are encouraged to ask questions from the other panelists, which they said in their speeches. In their answering the questions, you can question other panelists.
My question to Shweta ma'am is like she has talked about AI and its use. So I just want to ask, like, is she motivating the students to learn the usage of AI on the regular basis, or she tries to curb it down? Like, let's not make use of Chat GPT, Claude, and any other thing while answering or preparing the project. Or is there any other way she encourages them to use it but judiciously? What is her take on that?
Yes, ma'am. It's I'm not restricting students to not to use any of these things. Definitely, I promote. I would rather say I say because see when generally I teach the same subject, so I hardly means homework is something which could be a different one, not that one just copying it. Because today we all know it's very easy that they can come and copy down. But I regularly motivate to use responsibly, effectively, as it's a learning companion. Even we are also using, as I believe you have given so lovely examples, so we are also using. So but AI should not replace our thinking, our creativity. It should not replace that thing. Okay, I encourage that, yes, use AI for taking little bit of brainstorming ideas, clarifying sometime your concepts also, and improving any other things. We can take ideas, not a problem, but later you should use your own thinking also. That's important.
Shweta ma'am, do you have a question from any of our panelists?
Okay, I would like to ask from Benny ma'am, have you changed how you teach a lesson, method of it, and how it work, means change in this according with the AI or something, how you have changed your teaching pattern or something?
Uh, yes, I have changed because what happened in our school that we segregate the students with according to the percentage. So the last section is always the down. So at that time I thought ki maybe they have not the capacity like the 90% student is learning. So I always make my notes with the help of AI to according to their capacity. At least they cannot leave the answer, because when they saw the very lengthy statements, they leave it. They don't learn the answers. So I try to give them the short facts, because SST basically it's the facts. So it's easy to give them so they can at least they learn. Even I tried with the flowchart also, and they have given me a little bit response in first periodic. And I showed my in charge ki ma'am, see, they have attempted the periodic test and they have done very good job there. That's it.
I absolutely love that technique, ma'am. Do you have another question for any of our panelists?
Or I'll ask.
Okay, I asked Shweta ma'am if we are preparing the students for 2047. So what expectations are we putting for them? actually what we are expecting from them, ki how we can take them to the future. Because basically we always told them ki that prepare your present, then you will create your future. So what are we expecting from them, ki what they do? Yeah, what
See,
we will do for them.
of course, we are doing many things for them, but for this, I'll quote from Priyanka ma'am's thing. You know, I still remember we were in the school and she told me about computers. I don't know. I just randomly saying, I hope I'll answer your question because 2047 is quite far. I don't know what will happen by that time. She used to say when computers came, I think we all will remember. Then also there was so much of thinking how this will happen, how we are going to do it, will remove everything and so many things. So similar with this also, I believe. Actually anything new comes now, we are into means what will happen, we will be replaced, or now jobs are gone, AI has come. Even in the corporate world people are so much into ki, now nothing is there. It's not like that. I believe it's not like that. Of course development will be there, changes will be there. Now even if I'm not wrong, these Gen Z's are sitting with us and they know. Nowadays I've seen the new meme that outside somewhere, the this generation has stopped using these Android phones, means smartphone. They are back into that button one because they feel we are into so much of stress. Now we are going back, we don't want our life to be. So see, this is actually this, we can't say ki AI chat GPT kuch something, it's like nothing. I believe usage, if done correctly, properly, and people are doing, it's not even schools are also doing the proper usage. We have to live with all these things. So I hope I
One
answered your
thing
question.
I would say, like Shweta's to add, we as educators should teach them. Okay, we can't blame everything for their inattentiveness, their carelessness. Okay, this is because this is the corona batch. No, 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 no. Nowadays they are, the parents have given them so much of freedom, tab, laptop. No, it is there. Like had it been in our times, we would
Yeah.
have also used it. So this is where educators' role come in. That we need to teach them the judicious use of it. Instead of blaming the technology, we need to teach them how to use the technology. This is what I say.
This has been a very productive discussion.
Absolutely, Swenjal, absolutely, Vanchika. And the whole conversation was so, like, good, going back and forth and this thing. So many thoughts I noted down. And each and every thought is, I would say, thought provoking. So when we talk about AI, it is here to stay. We can't live without it, technology. And as Priyanka ma'am said, that we need to learn how to use it judiciously, as well as help our children to learn through this ocean, to swim through it. क्योंकि इतना इंफॉर्मेशन है कि our children really do not know. हमको ही नहीं पता है. We need to filter out, we need to learn that swimming. So, if you allow me, I would like to bring in how the Indic wisdom looks at education. हमारे ट्रेडिशन में कहते हैं सा विद्या या विमुक्तय. True education is that which liberates. अब लिबरेट किससे करेगी? लिबरेट करती है फ्रॉम इग्नोरेंस, फ्रॉम फियर, from that narrow thinking, from dependence and the inability to adapt to newer situations. That's what education is all about. So जब हम इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में देखते हैं एजुकेशन या 2047 का क्या रहना चाहिए, जो एजुकेशन हमें बताते हैं कि एजुकेशन शुड फोकस ऑन थ्री थिंग्स. Schools. Number one, information that moves to knowledge. So, information is just numbers, but how we create wisdom out of it. And when we create wisdom, then that's where it becomes knowledge, because knowledge never goes outdated. You all have said about it. Second most important thing is skills, because we all need to have that career, financial career, professions, So skills are so very important, and that most of the schools, we all educators are looking into. But the third and the most important thing that we are somewhere not giving that importance that we need to, and that what our um Vedic sanskar says, Vedic education says, is about sanskar. Lately, we have seen what is happening, the kind of language, the kind of violence that's being promoted by these young children are like, Corey slate hai, and they are being transformed into tools to be used and then thrown away. और इन बच्चों को ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, यानी कि फ्रॉम वो जो संस्कार जब तक हम स्कूल में नहीं लेके आएंगे, that's where we will be missing the bus. So we need to move from information to wisdom to knowledge, from marks to mastery. That's perfectly fine. We are focusing on it. But we also need to move from subjects to the systems thinking, from competition to contribution, where instead of asking people, my school, my parents, my government, that what is in it for me, I need to start asking, how can I create value for my class, for my school, for my parents, for my community, and for my country? When we bring in this kind of thought process, this sanskar, that's where education is complete. So IQ से human quotient पे move करना बहुत जरूरी है, which includes nurturing, emotional intelligence, of course, we are doing, cultural intelligence, ecological intelligence, ethical intelligence, spiritual, digital, all these kinds of intelligence, because we need to get them ready for the uncertainty, to be great entrepreneurs, for the relationships, for the well being, most importantly, for being good citizens. And in nutshell, जो हमारे को ये बताया गया कि हमारे 5 कोश हैं, हमारे शरीर के, काया के 5 कोश हैं। जब तक वो पांचों कोश बैलेंस में और उनको हम नर्चर नहीं करेंगे, तो एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग आई विल नॉट फ्लरिश। एंड व्हाट आर दोज? द फर्स्ट इज माय अन्नमय कोश, माय फिजिकल वेल बीइंग. Then is the pranamay kosh, my energy, my vitality. Where am I using it? Am I using it in anger, or am I using it in my personal calm? Then third is the manomay, my emotional and mental health. The fourth is Vijnanmay kosh, and that is the discernment, the wisdom to choose, differentiate between the right and the wrong. And when we are doing all these four, we are moving towards the Anandamay Kosh, that is moving towards my purpose, my joy, my inner fulfillment. So the question is not what skills the children will need in 2047. The question is, what kind of human beings will India, will Bharat need in 2047? And when we answer that question, we will be moving from this 1.0 education to the 2.0 education, to prepare them to perform and to be awakened for themselves, for the society, for the world. Because a developed India is not to be built by skilled hands alone, but by awakened minds, compassionate hearts, and aware people. तो कंपैशन और अवेयरनेस जब तक नहीं आएगी, हम एक 2047 में पैसे कमा लेंगे, स्किल्स भी कर लेंगे, बट कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ना कुछ वो मिसिंग होता। संस्कार बहुत जरूरी है। और last few days, being an educator, seeing what's happening outside has really been very saddening. हमारे बच्चे कहाँ पहुंच गए हैं? So for me, 2047 is all this in nutshell. But thank you. It was such a beautiful conversation, knowing what skills are relevant and how you are developing it, cultivating it in your own classrooms. So from my side to all of you, to all our beautiful panelists, EduEdge is all about brainstorming, about coming up and sharing our thoughts. So wonderful. And I'm so looking forward to the next panel discussion.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's really insightful, Shami ma'am. As we wrap up today's brilliant conversation at Edu Edge by Anon, it is completely clear that 2047 isn't really about predicting the future. It's about the choices we make in classroom this year. Thank you so much to our incredible panelists, and thank you all for being here today.